How's it going, folks? It's Keaton here. Welcome back to another video. So a while back, it took me Kevin's YouTube course. I actually really enjoyed it. I'd recommend it. I'll leave the link down below. But one big thing I got from Kevin's course, which I didn't get in a lot of other YouTube courses that I've taken, is he really optimizes his studio setup to be as frictionless as possible. So when he comes in the morning and he's recording, he wants to be able to turn some lights on, hit record, and just go for it. And I think that's super smart because then you don't rely as much on editing or on, repeating yourself 5 or 6 different times. He's just saying, hey, learn how to speak to the camera like you speak to a person, and then have things like hardware instead of software that can help you record and edit in real time. Edit, so to speak, not actually editing, so that you don't have to waste time in the actual editing room. And he calls it the 5-minute edit in his course, and he teaches you how to record your videos so that it only takes 5 minutes to edit them. I haven't quite gotten to that point. I still outsource my editing. It's just easier that way for me. But the other thing Kevin does is he doesn't actually record to an SD card on his camera. He records directly to the hard drive on his computer so that when he does edit, it's just super quick. So all of these things combine to basically make Kevin his own news station. Like, he produces so much content because it's so frictionless for him. And in this video, I want to show you how I sort of re-engineered what he has. I think it cost him like $200,000. That's what Sarah Dici said anyway. And I got mine done for about under $3,000, but you could definitely do it for cheaper. I'm just factoring in the cost of like a new computer I bought and other things like that. So I'm going to show you in this video how you can do the same. It's been a game changer for me. It really makes making content more enjoyable, faster, all that good stuff. So I'm just gonna take my phone out and record so you can see what it looks like from my perspective here recording in the studio. Okay, so here we are on my phone, and as you can see, I'm actually in my unfinished basement. So up there is just like some wood, over there is a wall. This is just like stuffing or whatever they call that in the walls. And behind me is my computer, and then obviously all this background stuff here. So let's talk about the computer setup first. This is OBS, which is Open Broadcasting Software. It's completely free. It's sort of like WordPress for video recording. So there's like some different setup that you'll have to watch. I don't fully understand it. I had somebody help me with it, like get on a call and help me setting up OBS because it's a little bit difficult. And it works a lot better with PC, so I wouldn't highly recommend it with a Mac, but I'm just a Mac guy, so what are you gonna do? Then I've got my Mac Mini here plugged into this monitor. So Mac Mini, monitor, OBS on the computer. And then back here, you can see I've got my camera there with the teleprompter on it. So let's go over to the camera and check it out. Okay, so here is the camera. You can see this Glide Gear teleprompter is here, and it's designed so that you can have a tablet right here. And then that tablet would just reflect onto there. And then you can see that the camera's just in there. So I actually didn't end up using this too much, and I'll talk about that later, but I just leave it on there because it looks cool and it's work to take it off. But you can see that's what it looks like from here. And then two things that make this camera really cool and nifty. This is a Canon 90D, by the way. This cord that comes out, this plugs into my power strip here. And that just means that the camera is always charged. I never have to worry about the battery. So that fixes the battery problem, but the other problem that you're always gonna have with the camera is the storage in the SD card. And so what I've done here is I've linked it up with an HDMI to this Camlink 4K, which was about $100. And that just allows this to become essentially a webcam for the computer. And that's why on OBS, I can see myself through that camera. So that's pretty cool, right? There's the camera there. Let's go ahead and show you the rest of the setup. I will turn the camera around again, and I'm gonna point to everything as far as this side goes. Okay, so you can see that my key light here that just shines directly on me it's this GVM is the brand. I think it was about $180 for that. It's been really good and just kind of lights up that side of my face. Then you can see that I've taken this Rode mic and I've just attached to the ceiling right there. That's really nice. I think the audio sounds pretty good. Meet Kevin has a lot more like different stuff kind of padding his audio. I think it sounds all right. I'm not too worried about it. So that's the light here, and then the microphone. And then if you come back here, we've got a light to kind of fill in the other side of my face. And then this one is what's called a hair light, so kind of fills in the back of my head, and it's popular for interviews. Learned it from Parker Walbeck, so I hope it's working. Anyway, all right, just a couple more things now. As you can see, I've hung these lights just through these other things in the rafters there, and then these clamps are holding up that black sheet as well as part of the lights here. I just unscrewed the bulbs from some of the sockets there because I only needed those 4. And then this chair, I can't remember the name of, I'll link it down below. And then this is my grandpa's desk, which is pretty cool. I never met him, so it's fun to kind of have part of his legacy with me. And I should probably show you some of the cable management going on here. As you can see, it looks a little bit messy, but there's a method to this madness. The main one I want to point out is this is plugged into the Mac Mini headphone jack, and it's a splitter. So I can listen with my headphones if I need to listen to something, but then the microphone goes all the way up here, and then it just plugs into that Rode from above. The only annoying thing about this setup has been figuring out how to charge that, because if I'm recording while it's charging, there's a buzzing noise. And so I have to unplug it, and then I typically forget to plug it back in, and then it's just a mess because when I need to record, it's dead. All right, now we're back. I'm back sitting at the desk, and what I want to show you next is this Stream Deck. So I'll turn the camera around and we'll talk a little bit about it. So Stream Deck is made by the same company that made that cam link I showed you earlier, and Meet Kevin has a stream switcher like this that's it's got tons of different stuff because he switches between his computer and the news and like all this stuff. But I knew all I needed was like me, a screen recording one, and me in the corner, you know? So if I wanted to share my screen, let's look at this. I just click this button down here, and as you can see, that just switches to sharing my screen. And then if I want to remove myself from the corner, I just push that one and it removes it. So this was really easy to program. It took me like 15 minutes to figure out how to link this up with OBS to do that. And then if I want to record, I just click this button here and it starts recording directly to my hard drive. Very cool. And then once I'm done recording, I hit that button again, and then I just go search up movies in my computer, and I scroll to the very bottom, and you'll see at the very bottom is the one that we just recorded. And then I can just throw that in Final Cut if I'm going to edit it, or I can just send it to my editor. So pretty sweet setup there with the Stream Deck. I love that part of this. Also, if anyone knows how to fix that issue that I mentioned with the Rode mic earlier, that it buzzes when it's plugged in and I'm recording, please let me know. It doesn't happen when I'm on Zoom. It only happens when I'm recording through OBS, and I haven't figured out how to fix it. So if you know, that would honestly, it would be life-changing if you know how to do that. One more thing I should mention, guys, is that right behind me is the furnace. So I typically have to just turn off the heating or the air conditioning, depending on what season it is, while I'm recording, because it'll just be too loud. Like, you'll hear it a little bit in the background, which a little bit is too much when it comes to audio. Like, the audio spot got to be really good when you're recording for YouTube. It's half the viewing experience. That's what Meet Kevin says anyway. All right, so now we're back recording in my usual setup here, and I want to talk about how you can get this set up for really cheap, for around $1,500. Now, I spent closer to $3,000 because I wanted some more fancy stuff, but you really only need to spend $1,500, and I'll walk you through exactly how to do that. And guys, this is the video I wish I had when I was setting up my studio, because it is annoying, and I feel like there's no good videos about how to set your studio up, especially in like an efficient way like Meet Kevin does, because most YouTubers aren't doing that. They're recording to their SD card, then they're taking their SD card, putting it in the computer, editing, like all this stuff. I don't want to deal with that. It's such a faff. So let's go ahead and talk about what you need, the bare essentials to set up a really cool studio like this that allows you to record quickly. All right, so the first thing you're going to need is a camera that has a clean HDMI output. And that is like on the higher end of the DSLR cameras. So this is a Canon EOS M50, and I thought I was gonna be able to record in the studio with this. I got this for like 450 bucks used, and I wasn't able to because when you turn this on, there's a bunch of like icons and everything on the back here, and it doesn't, all of those will record into your video. But this camera has a clean HDMI output, the Canon 90D or 80D, I believe would have a clean HDMI output as well. You just gotta make sure you look that up for the model that you're buying. I got the one that I'm using now used for $900. I think new they're like $1,200 or something like that. And then the second thing you're absolutely going to need is the Camlink 4K that I showed you earlier, which runs about $100. And you're gonna need a HDMI cord that connects from your camera to that Camlink 4K, and then the Camlink 4K plugs directly into your computer. That way you can use your DSLR as a video webcam. Now there are other softwares that do this, but this is the best way. So with that setup, you can use that for like Zoom meetings, you can use that for anything. That is now the webcam for your computer. Thirdly, you're going to need a DC power adapter for your camera so that it never runs out of battery, and you can just plug that in. They're like 25 bucks on Amazon. I'll link it down below. And then fourth, you're going to need a Stream Deck. This Stream Deck Mini was only $80, and all I needed was those, 4 different buttons there. I really don't see myself needing or using a bigger one. You can buy ones with like 60 buttons on them, but I have no clue what I would do with all those buttons. If you're streaming all the time, you probably know what you would, but just for someone who wants to share their screen and maybe do a couple other things fancy with OBS, that's all you need. The next thing you're going to need is some good lighting. I would say budget-wise, you could probably stay under $200 for some decently good lighting that looks like this. If you want to splurge a little bit more, probably up to $400. Again, I'll link everything down below in the description for the stuff that I have. Then the next thing you'll need is likely a tripod and then a good microphone. Now microphones can cost you up to like $1,200, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. The sound's not gonna be that much better, especially for a beginner. This Rode mic was like $250. I think I got it used for $200 or something like that. And honestly, if you just get like a $100 to $200 microphone, or if you use a lapel mic that's like it's a smartphone one you could plug into your computer and get the sound from that and just put it under your shirt, that works as well. There's some really cheap ones. Really audio, like the point of diminishing returns with audio starts at like $10. You could get a $10 lavalier microphone that plugs into your iPhone, and you could plug that into your computer instead of your iPhone and have it record from into OBS and onto the videos that you're recording from this setup, and it would sound just as good as, most people aren't gonna be able to tell the difference. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is the teleprompter setup and why I didn't really end up using it. So the teleprompter itself was $200, and again, it was designed so that you could put a tablet there and then you could read what the tablet said as you were talking. In theory, it's a good idea, but it's honestly really hard to read, for me at least, just like read paragraphs without sounding really monotone. And the skill I'm trying to develop with YouTube is really public speaking, like being able to speak off the cuff and just kind of make it feel natural, break eye contact every once in a while, and just keep talking, say a phrase, pause, say a phrase, that kind of thing, so that it becomes natural, because I'd like to speak in person. And, I want to develop the ability to record quickly with my YouTube videos, have them edited quickly and upload quickly instead of having to repeat things like 5 different times. So in addition to just sounding monotone and wanting to develop a different skill than just reading off a teleprompter, I also had some issues like setting it up with the iPad. So I would put the iPad on the tray in that teleprompter, but through Apple's native sidecar display, you can actually flip the screen on the iPad, so your words are all backwards. So I had to buy what's called a Luna display thing from AstroPad. So it's just this little, it's literally this and an app, and it costs like $130. So it plugs into your computer, and then it allows you to have a flipped screen on your iPad. And so I would write all my notes on Notion, and then I would drag that over, and it basically just was a second monitor. It was pretty slick, it sits there, but honestly it was so much, like too many extra steps, and I can just look quickly at my notes here if I need something, like pause, look at it, and then just keep going. Or I can just look at it right now and keep talking to you guys and nobody really cares. So those are my thoughts on the teleprompter. That said, if you really, really want to do it, the cost is going to be like $200 for the teleprompter, like $300 probably for an iPad that would work. And then Luna display cost me $130 for this. Maybe someday Apple will come out with the ability to have teleprompter mode on sidecar display, which they should have done forever ago, but you know, it's Apple, so they're gonna do what they want to do. Anyways, I hope this video was helpful, guys. I really loved putting the studio together. It's a lot of fun. It makes recording videos easy, and I hope this helps you. Like I said, this is the video I wish I had when I was trying to put this all together. So thanks so much for tuning into this. And if you have any other questions, please put them below and I'll answer. Thanks so much. Bye.